level 3, but I felt like the living legend badge was much better suited. So I would like to welcome the living legend to stage for you guys. It is the one and only Shaun Browne.
Song, but it's dancing, it's cool, man. I like this. Everyone's getting hyped. I feel like I can't turn it off now. I just feel awkward when I do it. Right, it's going to be awkward, but I'm killing it now, sorry. What's going on? Sorry. Okay. I've just got a feeling today. I've got a good feeling. It's going to be powerful. I feel emotional before we even started. So yeah, hopefully we're on good ground, and I want to be an emotional wreck the whole time. First of all, before we actually get going, what's happened there? I'm unaware. It's just power in the air. So good. Before we get going, I always start with the same thing, which is a massive amount of gratitude for a few things. One, to Kizzy for inviting me here. She didn't have to do that, so I'm super thankful that she did. Massively thankful to all of you here. If you get something from it, I'm grateful for it. If you don't, I apologise, but I'm still thankful for you anyway. And I'm going to try and do my best. Ooh, no lights. It's time to get serious now. Lights have gone off. That's what I'm talking about. The title of my... Oh. All right. The title of my talk is this. I could just leave this here and say thank you very much and sit down. Because when we really understand this, even when we forget this, which makes no sense, but hopefully it will make sense as I talk, it is one of the most settling, relieving understandings in our life. And I'm going to try my best to explain how I can say with so much confidence about everybody in here, you are enough always. That's my intention. It's a lofty intention, but that's what I'm going for. Now, I need to go back to the last slide to explain. No, actually. Scrap all that. That's not true. We'll get back to that in a minute. I'll go back to this first. This is one of my favourite slides, and it seems to stay in for every talk I do, because it really resonates with me. This is how I see myself. A teacher is never a giver of truth. He's a guide, a pointer to the truth that each student must find for himself/herself. I'm no different, no better than anybody here. I don't have anything that you don't have. I am not like this wise person. That's not what's going on here. What Kizzy has done throughout the day has been genius. Because what she's done at the end of every single talk is she's had that slide come up that says light bulb moments. That's the wisdom. It doesn't come from me. It's an experience where you're sat and the fog lifts and you see something that you didn't see before. And like that, you catch it in seconds. You're like, oh, I can see it now. I couldn't see it before, but I see it now. And that little nugget, call it intuition, call it good instinct, whatever name you want to put to it, that's what does the stuff, not me. It's nothing actually to do with me. And so what we all share is the capacity to get insight. We all share that. The capacity to look to our life experience and say, that makes sense, and to follow that. The challenge we have is actually following what comes up. That's the challenge. even when we know it's right for us, even when it just makes total sense. The challenge is holding on to that when sometimes the whole world seems like it doesn't understand. Now I can go back to this. If you look at all these things that I said are my favourites, you can look at my song. And my favourite song, apparently, I'll get to this in a minute, was a song by Logic called Soul Food. Now, I do love that song. It's a good tune. It's really cool. Like, it's got a good beat, and you feel cool when you listen to it. You're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I feel awesome. And like, you crank it up. So that's why I wrote that down. That's not the truth. When Kizzy asked, what's your favourite song? My actual favourite song at the time is written by this lady called Bonnie Raitt. Now, Bonnie Raitt is a country singer for those who don't know her. She's got this song, I think it's from the 80s, and like it's super, like, it's like easy listening, and it's super nice, and it's super chill, and the truth was, that was my favourite song at the time when Kizzy asked. I was listening to it everywhere. When I'm in the kitchen cutting chicken, I'm listening to this song, and I'm like, I'm turning into, you know, I'm trying to sing her, I'm embodying her, I'm singing those high notes. Right, I'll simulate. So I'm there, you know, and I'm cutting my chicken, and I'm like, I can make you love me, chop, 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 chop. If you don't. And then Nathan Watson goes, that's a good song. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it. Blah, 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 blah. And then I did the fist thing as well. Something in the world, here in the dark. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? That's the challenge we all have. It's the challenge between what's true for us, who we actually are, which in that moment was Bonnie Raitt. It's real. And who we think we should be in the eyes of everybody else, which is Logic and Soul Food. That's the challenge we all have. It's universal. And I think everybody in here can relate to that at some level. It's the challenge between what's true for me versus what I wish was true for me, so I looked a certain way. I love this. There's nothing more beautiful than the way the ocean refuses to stop kissing the shoreline, no matter how many times it's sent away. This is the human experience. The human experience is ebb and flow, in and out. Logic, Bonnie Raitt. It's the oscillation between those 2 points. Bonnie Raitt in that moment represented my truth, also known as true self. Logic in that moment, when I wrote it down and shared it in that group we were all in, represented my egoic self, my separate self, that was worried about what's everybody else going to say about me putting Bonnie Raitt down. And it sounds so ridiculous now I say it, and people are laughing when I said it, but how many times have we done it? Where we keep our truth in our pocket, and we don't want to share who we actually are. It's the oscillation between those 2 points. Now, the only difference, and I'm going to try and share this with you today, the only difference between me and lots of other people out there are 2 things. One, I understand that there's an ebb and flow. There is a shift between the true self and the separate sense of self. I feel it, it's real, I live in it like everybody else does, and I don't deny that. And 2, I understand that the separate sense of self does not actually represent who I am. It is a construct, not necessarily real. So when people say fear isn't real, they're pointing to that understanding that the place, the center of where fear is experienced, the separate self itself is not real. Therefore, the fear isn't real because it's coming from a construct, it's not coming from truth. Just like time seems super real, because we live with it day in and day out, second by second, it feels like a real thing. But time is a construct as well. At some point, some stone, I don't know when it happened, I'm not good with history. I was going to say some stone person, but that doesn't sound very accurate. But at some point in time, somebody said, I know what's a good idea. This event's happening here, and then we've got another event happening here. Why don't we measure the distance between that one and that one? And then somebody else said, that's a good idea. Let's start measuring it. What should we use? We can't use rocks. So what can we use? Ooh, let's use seconds, let's use minutes, let's use hours, blah, 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 blah. So something that looks so real, because we're in it all the time, we live in it, we experience it, seems so real is a construct. That's what I'm saying about the source of fear. It's coming from the same place. Construct. It's a construct. And this ebb and flow is the bounce between the construct and the real. The bounce between fear and love. The bounce between confusion and pain and understanding of freedom. That's what we all experience. I experienced it before I got up today. Lunchtime. Lunchtime. Now, I'm usually a guy who can eat, like, I've got an appetite, healthy one. And Anne-Marie says, do you want to eat? And I'm like, no, can't eat. And I'm putting up this, like, whole sort of reason in my head why I can't eat. The truth is, fear is why I can't eat. And I never do, it's bizarre. But I just feel like I can't eat before I get up and talk. I can't explain it, but it's my experience. But it must be coming from fear, because usually around this time, I'm pretty hungry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to tear up some cookies when this is over. I'm like, bye, cookies. So hopefully there's some left.
I know.
Oh, what? Next time I'm going to stash some cookies like a squirrel, hide them away somewhere. But that ebb and flow is real. I can do talk after talk after talk for the rest of my life. And I guarantee you, at some point on the day, fear will be there. Why? Because I've gone back to the construct. I'm in it. I'm living in it. I'm experiencing it. And it colours our entire experience. It's like we're walking in a field of fear until it's not there anymore. And then we're simply not. And if you look to your life, don't believe me. You don't have to believe me just because I'm saying it. And I never want that, which is why I had that slide about the teacher. I don't want you to actually just say, oh, well, Shaun said it, so it must be true. I want you to look to your own life and see what's true. Have you ever experienced having fear or frustration or anger or confusion at a random point in your life? I have. Have you ever experienced having joy, wonder, love, understanding in the points when it seems like you can't get there? I know I have. So I'm just sharing my experience. I'm not saying it's yours. I'm just saying look to your own experience. And that will show you what you need to see. And this ebb and flow of the human experience, I had a really powerful insight into this quite recently. I sing in a gospel choir, hence the singing, like randomly, impromptu singing, any excuse. And recently I did a really challenging song. I sang at a funeral. Now, the funeral I sang at was for a fellow choir member. So that's tough enough. Add another layer. The member who had passed away, we sang the song that we were singing at the funeral together. She had a part, I had a part. And then I'm going to his funeral. I'm in the ebb and flow now. To sing this song. Now, when you stack up those circumstances, it looks like you're going to collapse. You're going to fall to pieces. I stood with the choir around me, and we sang the song. And when it was time for me to sing my part, thankfully, I was in a place where what came out of my mouth was pure love. Love for her, love for everybody in that room, and love for life itself. And I shocked myself. I expected to be in the jammed up, scared, fearful, overwhelmed place. And I was not. I was in pure love. Now, as soon as I walked off, it's like I caught up to myself. That's when the tears came. That's when the sadness came. That's when the, I need a tissue, please, came. It was afterwards. And it came and went. And what I'm saying is, if we've all been there with experiences like that, and I think we have, then when we're starting to feel like we're abnormal because we're feeling the feelings, somebody said it before, like when you're in your go-through, you feel like the only person on the planet going through a go-through. It's only you. Everybody else has got it sorted. You feel like the one who's falling apart and everybody else is handling it. My question is this: if everybody has moments where they feel like they're falling apart, is it that it's just you? Or is it all of us? Do we all have moments like that? I think it's more the latter from my own experience. The ebb and flow. It doesn't have a rhythm. It's not like 1 second there, 1 second there. But it is an eternal bounce from one viewpoint of experience, call it perspective, to the other. Now you might think, why is that useful to know? The reason it's useful to know is because sometimes what we do, we look at the fruit, well, it's blossomed here. We look at the results, and we then say, that person's special. Like we could say that tree's special. It's beautiful. We look to what it produces, and we see that as a cause for separation. I could never produce something like that. It's blossom here, but in the context of where we are, it might be black status, purple status, orange status, reaching out on Messenger. The list is endless. We look to the results outside of ourselves, other people, and we start to see separation and difference between what we are witnessing and ourselves. That's why it's called the separate self. Because it feels alone, it feels separate, it feels isolated. The reason what I've just said matters so much to understand is this. When you understand that we're all going through the same go-through, you start to truly see, like truly see, that we're all the same. Every single one of us is the same in terms of that aspect of who we are. So what then happens is that strength of understanding allows us to see that although this tree is producing beautiful blossom, it doesn't make it any better than any other tree. That's just where that tree is at in the moment. Just like in our businesses, just because the person down the road is at purple status, doesn't mean that us at any status lower than that is somehow inferior. And we can truly see that through that basis of understanding that you're okay where you are. You're okay as you are. Going up the ladder is not going to change your worth. Your worth is set. It's already there. It can't go anywhere. It is indestructible. Even when it looks like it's not. Even when it looks like, well, why can't I just write Bonnie Raitt? But I still write Logic and Soul Food. And I know all this stuff. That's what's hilarious. I'm not saying that I'm above you. I mean, I'm on the stage now, so I'm not saying I'm above you. I'm saying I'm in this with you. I'm saying this is a shared experience. I remember going to a talk once, and my mind was all over the place. I mean, like crazy all over the place. I was driving to Leeds. My mind is going blah, 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 like that. And it's saying all this stuff like, you never spoken to these people before. What if they don't get you like the unique ladies do? This is real. You know, what if it's just a fluke? That's one. What if it was just a one-hit wonder? Like Vanilla Ice. What if I'm the Vanilla Ice? I don't know where Vanilla Ice came from. What if I am the Vanilla Ice of public speaking? I get one hit, and then the rest is flop, 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 garbage. This is going through my mind as I'm driving. The ebb and flow of the human experience. I am lost in my separate self. I am gone in my ego. And here's the thing. Nobody could have told me that what I was experiencing wasn't real. in that moment, I've been like, you what? Now, I just looked at Natasha's daughter, so I'm not going to go into the tirade of stuff that probably would have came out of my mouth. We're just going to hold it there. But when we're in it, nobody can tell us we're not in it, because we're bloody in it, and we can feel it. So then when someone comes and says, oh, we'll just feel better, that's like going to the doctor and saying, doctor, I'm sick, and the doctor goes, get better, bye. It's the same thing. It doesn't make sense. What the only thing that helps is understanding. To know that even in the storm, the mental storm we all sometimes find ourselves in, I am at the centre of that storm, unmoved, untouched by this. Everything that is going on around me, the weather, so to speak, cannot touch me at my core. It can't get there. That's the ebb and flow of the human experience. And that's what we're pointing to today. This is another one that never leaves. You Are Enough is always in there. I wish I could just say this and it just fixed everything. Like, you're enough. Okay, sorted. It'd make my life a lot easier. But as I said, we all bounce and oscillate between those two states of being. So one minute we totally get it and we're there and we feel it, and then the next minute we're like, nah, that's not true. And my son, and I say this every time, but he came into my life to teach me this truth. First of all, when he was actually born, perfection. And when I held him, only from there to there, he was super small, I looked at perfection. Hadn't had the time to achieve anything or become great or, be the best crawler of the year or whatever. No achievement necessary. Just by being here, just by being born, just by breathing in and breathing out, in and of itself, just that alone is enough to be enough. And I saw that in that moment. One of the greatest gifts of my life was that experience. And then the quantum leap from that to saying, well, if that's true of him, that's true of me. And then the quantum leap to say, if that's true of him, that's true of me, that's true of everybody on this planet. That's why I say it with as much confidence as I say it. It's not because I'm trying to make it feel good, it's because that's the way I see it. I don't do trying to make you feel good, because if someone's trying to make you feel good, it doesn't land. What lands is their understanding, speaking directly to you. That lands, because you feel the realness of it. Nathan Browne is enough. Ava Browne is enough. Anne-Marie Browne is enough. More than enough sometimes, lots of times. I can't look, that's why I'm going here. Shaun Browne is enough. And everybody in here is enough. End of story. Now, the ebb and flow of the human experience. It don't look that way sometimes. I remember once. Nathan has challenges in school. Finds it hard. And I remember we got a letter through the door. An educational psychologist had sort of gone and seen him and, diagnosed him. And I'm reading this letter, and as I'm reading this letter, I am all up in my head. I cry. Because I forgot that he was enough in that moment. I'm reading this diagnosis of my son. Trying to put him in a box. Trying to say he's this and that. Insinuating that in any way, shape or form he's not enough. And the crazy thing is, when we're up there too, we fall for it. We buy into it, we believe him, we say, yeah, well maybe. Maybe I've got this all wrong. Maybe I've let him down. And I cry from that pain. But then we switch back and we see the truth. And I pick him up from school, and he has a go at me because I forgot to bring him something to eat. First thing that comes out of his mouth, Daddy, I'm hungry. And then as soon as he says that, I'm like, oh, crap. Forgot again. You got anything to eat, Daddy? No, sorry. And then sometimes, because we all have that ebb and flow, sometimes he's chill. All right, cool, Daddy. And sometimes I am the worst daddy on the planet. How could you forget? And he literally is chasing me down the street, so I'm walking like, it's okay, son, I love you, son. And he's behind me going, I hate you, dad. It's the ebb and flow. It works in him, it works in me, it works for everyone all of the time. My son cannot be pinned down by a piece of paper. He cannot be described in a letter. It's not possible. I don't care who it is, and I don't care how long they've studied. It's irrelevant. My son is enough from the moment he is born till the moment he is no longer here on this earth. No achievement, no judgment, nothing at all can take that away from him. And I've been judged, and he will be judged. There are times when we're all judged. There are times when people are telling us this is not true. I've been there. Racism, I've had it. Manism. That sounds like a way I just made that up, manism. What I mean by manism is when, like, because I spend a lot of time in the teaching industry in classrooms, is when some ladies think I won't get something because I'm a man. Like, you won't get that, you're a man. I'm like, hang on, I'm human. I'll get it. But then they talk about like Brad Pitt, and I'm like, no, I don't get it. No, like, he's a good-looking guy, but I ain't going, but no. But all the isms come from separation. All of them. There's a notion that somehow you're different. Somehow then, I can put a value system on you and say, you're better or you're worse. It's in our education system right now. I had kids in year 6 in tears saying, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. We are shoving separation down people's throats. And it's not real. How on earth can we say to a child who struggles with a maths sat that means their life is over? It's nonsensical. We need to get back to what's real. We need to get back to what actually matters, which is however you come, however you are, however you look, however you talk, whatever you believe, no matter what shape you are, size you are, you're enough. End of story. The biggest gift I can give people when I work with them is to hold the space of understanding of that until they see that. And it only takes a glimpse. You just to catch it for snap back into it for just a little bit. That's what does the power. It blasts away the limitations, the worries, the fears, the doubts, the anxieties of our egos. And in that clear space, in that emptiness, the empty awareness where everything flows in and out, that's when we catch on to a light bulb moment. It's miraculous how it works when you remind people who they are. Magical. What I loved about this, like the quote's awesome, don't get me wrong, but it's who said it that's like doubly awesome. When you think Warren Buffett, you think money. You think, I can't think of the word, enterprise. And we have lots of notions about money and enterprise and what it takes to get it. I had them. I had conditioning around this. You know, rich people do X, Y, Z. People with wealth do X, Y. Warren Buffett's saying this. Unconditional love is the most powerful force in the universe. I sat there early today, and Kizzy got me in, like, she's like, right, I'm just going to get a knife, but boom, like, and hit you with an emotional 1, 2, 3 uppercut, hook. I'm getting the combos out now, me, like, all of it. With that video from Derek, my God. He's saying that. He's getting a collective of people and saying, regardless of what you've been through, your history, regardless of what people said about it, regardless of all of that, you are enough. And he's reminding them of that. This company is founded on unconditional love. That's what it's founded on. It's not founded on mascara. They're the bricks. But the foundation is love. No pun intended. As I said, I was like, oh yeah, sorry. No pun intended at all. The foundation is love. Come as you are. Be who you are. And you're still welcome here. And it's funny because I was talking with somebody about this talk just yesterday, someone who I work with. And I said, you know what's hilarious? I go to these events. Look at me. And I talk at an event where people are selling makeup, network marketing, and I feel like family now. The reason I felt home here is because I felt the love here. Come as you are. Show us who you are. And it's crazy because we get so hung up on doing the thing that I did, the logic, being cool, being, trying to second guess what it's going to be that people want to see, trying to second guess, trying to get all that right. Whereas love says, be yourself. Everybody said it in different ways. Be yourself. And the people who get it, and the people who don't get it, don't get it. The most important thing we can be is ourselves. And this is what this is saying. Unconditional love is the most powerful force in the universe. Okay. Is somebody, yeah. Oh dear. We'll pause. It's all right. We'll pause. It's okay. This highlights it. The ebb and flow of experience is unpredictable. It's random by nature. You try and be precise and plan it out like Kizzy did. Curveballs come. Like Leanne did. We had the fire alarm. Curveballs come. This is why this understanding is as crucial as it is. So, as it says there, unconditional love is the most powerful force in the universe. Why? I'll tell you why. Because unconditional love, when you just sort of go outside of yourself and go above and beyond what you thought you were capable of doing, that's the stuff that makes the difference. And we can figure that on a large scale and a small scale. With my daughter, 2 days ago, wakes up, 2 a.m., screaming. Motivation for me to get up, 0. Happiness level, 0. Grumpiness level, 200%. So my daughter's screaming like, nah, in bed. The only thing that got me out of bed was love. Even in my grumpiness, even in my sort of indignation, and even in my, I'm supposed to be this person who helps people, and the only help I could give her was, just go to sleep. Even in that, unconditional love, because she's my daughter, gets me out of bed. Unconditional love, because she's my daughter, allows me to help her when she runs around the corner and says, Daddy, I need to poo. Oh, actually, Daddy, I've... And I'm like, don't run, just keep it... Try keep it just keep it all contained, we're like... Woo. I ain't wiping anybody's backside unless love is present. But that's the stuff. We go above and beyond. We do things that are unimaginable. Because when we're in that place, we understand that myself and my daughter are one. I can't remember where she starts and I end. We're one entity. It looks like 2, but it's actually 1. That's what love is. With Nathan, with Anne-Marie, it looks like 4, but it's 1. And we all bounce in and out of it. Sometimes we love each other and it's super chill, and sometimes we're all kicking off on each other. And I'm like, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. And Nathan's like, I hate you. And Nathan's like, I want the tablet. And I won't try and imitate Anne-Marie because she'll kick off with me if I get it wrong, so we'll leave that there. But we bounce in and out of that, but the reality is we're one. And all that's happened for me is that understanding that family is one has just expanded. And now what I describe as family is much, much larger. Much, much larger. So when I speak to an individual, I don't see, John Cena then. I don't see separation. I see myself. So I treat that person with the respect that they have, that they deserve, not deserve, that is their birthright. Because I recognize that I am you and you are me. We are one. When you remove the labels, when you remove the separation, all that's left is one. And that's what Derek was saying. I bring you together as one entity, one force. We'll call it unique. But when you see that you come together as one, with your teams, and somebody said it, it's when you make that switch from, what can I get out of it? How can I make this work for me too? How can I help my team? How can I serve my team? What can I do to serve them? And when you see them succeed, and it gives you a buzz that is beyond any buzz you'll get when you get a personal achievement, that's the stuff. That is an acknowledgement of, I am you and you and me. We work together as one. That's what happens when we take away, when we slip into the true self, the formless space, and we identify less with the separate self that feels judged all the time, that worries about what people think all the time, that thinks is not quite slim enough. I bounce into that. Like, I should be leaner than this by now. I bounce into that. When I bounce into, is this talk going to be any good? When I bounce into, am I doing it right as a parent? Am I doing it right as a coach? Am I doing it right as a speaker? Am I doing it right in this Facebook post? It gets to that level. And we examine and examine and examine. It's because we're coming from that separate notion of self. But the truth is behind the eyes. You can't quite catch it in form. It's not there. You can't catch it in form. It's the formless. It's the empty space. It's awareness where all these emotions flow in and flow out like a river. That space is the stuff. That's who we are. It's awareness. And we all share that awareness because it's empty. It doesn't have a shape. It doesn't have a size. It doesn't have a color. It doesn't have a language. It's universal. The true self is universal. So when I see you, I see myself. It might look like there's separation, but I know it doesn't exist, which is why I can treat others naturally the way they should be treated. I don't force it. I don't get up and say, I'm going to be nice to people today. It's a byproduct of understanding. It's a byproduct of this. We are one. It's undeniable when you think about it. If you keep extending out and extending out and extending out and extending out, you get to the whole planet. And you think about who's on the planet, well, all of us. We are one. But in our day-to-day life, we forget that all the time, and we look like separate entities running around for all our concerns or our worries or our fears. But oneness is truth, which is why when you are in harmony with oneness, you are in harmony with the universe itself. That's what law of attraction is. You are in harmony with who you actually are, which is the universe itself expressing itself through you. That's when it starts to work. Because you naturally have these byproduct behaviors that just happen. You don't have to force it. You don't need to have an affirmation for it. You don't need to write it down. It just happens when you see that we are one. One of them is consistency. Trust me. When I want to be, I'm as lazy as they come. And that's the truth. I could happily spend a whole day, I haven't got my phone so I can't show you, but I've got a few apps on there where, you know, I like to play a few games, you know, computer games, and I get in that and then I get too deep in it and I'm like, oh, I'll stop in a few minutes. I do that, but when I'm just in touch with who I am and somebody reaches out for a message and says, can you help? The answer's always yes. Like, no questions asked. If somebody says, can you do a Facebook Live, and I have the time, irrespective of how I feel, irrespective of the contents of that day, irrespective of whether Ava has got something hanging there or not. It's real. The answer is yes. That's where consistency comes from. Consistency is a byproduct. Because I just want to help. My coaching practice is built on this. Byproduct, not forced. Whenever I try and force consistency, I'm actually further away from consistency. It's weird. So when I try and be consistent, I'm not. When I'm just being myself, I am. Because I'm just expressing what I want to do over and over and over. I love this. I love speaking with people one-to-one. I love being in my messenger and saying, do this, don't worry about it, it's all good, blah, 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 fist bump emoji. I love it. So consistency it's almost irrelevant to me. I am consistency. I embody consistency. And we've all experienced that. You ever notice that when the business is just bang, 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 it's flying, you ain't thinking, but you're consistent. It just goes. That's the true self. It is an expression of what's right for you. And we flow with it until we're out of it, and it happens. So we're like, I'm doing it. Oh my God, what if this all falls apart? I'm doing it. Oh, that team is left, what the hell am I going to do? I'm doing it. God, I'm bloody knackered. It's the ebb and the flow. It's universal. We are in resistance when we are here. I'm bloody knackered. This is what resistance is. We are in it, I'm tired, and then we do this thing of, I need to fight the fact that I'm tired. I need to fight it. You are then in conflict with yourself. The only way to keep moving forward is the understanding that this is how it goes. So when you're knackered, and you know you're knackered, but you understand this, you're like, geez, I am knackered. But I know where this experience is coming from. It's not coming from what it looks like. That's why the understanding is so precious to me. It saved me time and time again from myself. And when I say myself, I mean my separate egoic self. Another byproduct is sharing. You naturally, without force, want to share what you have. When you have this understanding that we are one. So when you've got a team and you see your team as one, a collective, together, moving in the same direction. When you reach out and ask them, and somebody mentioned this in their talk, and it was amazing when I heard it, it was genius. And they said they made the switch to then actually listen to their teammates, what it was for them that they wanted, to actually listen to them, what do you want to get out of this, to actually ask them, what does this mean to you, and respond to that rather than what we want to get out of them, like they're a human resource. When we switch to give, when we switch to share, that's when it happens, because then the foundation of love is there in the team. And I reference this again and again, and don't mind saying it because she doesn't mind, because she said openly out there that I've worked with her. Holly Miller's team, when I was helping her, the incredible thing is that we look at something like that, we think, oh, she must grind. And she does work super hard, don't get me wrong. But that team is built on love. Everybody in that team, and I witnessed it because I was there and I could see it, they know that she's just got their back, like whatever it is. Whether you're flying or you have no intention of ever flying, it's all good. And she just supports you where you're at with what you're up to. So when she was in the sky flying, trying to get that recoil, she didn't know what was going on. But on the ground, the love of that team said, we're not going to sleep until Holly is black status again and requalifies. She didn't ask them to do that. It's a byproduct. It's a cycle. You share, they share. It's like a river. It comes in, it flows out. If you kill any one of those sides, that water is stagnant. So if it's not coming in, it dries up. If it's not going out, it overflows. We need the cycle. Sharing is it. I have this, I pass to you, you pass, you pass, you pass, you pass, you pass. It's the understanding that we are one shared being. So if we share, we're literally sharing with ourselves. We have not lost anything. We only gain. So through this understanding, natural byproduct, sharing. Another natural byproduct, energy/intensity. When I get up here and I ebb and flow whilst I'm doing the talk, but when I'm in the place, as I call it, there's this crazy intensity just there. My voice changes like intense mode. And I just go off. I'm gone. Which is why when everything happened and all that, and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be all right. And they're like, how are you going to recover? Like, I'll recover because I'll recover. Because it's nothing to do with me. That energy, that intensity, that drive doesn't get stopped by circumstances not going the way I expect. I don't expect circumstances to go the way that they should precisely. That's not the law of nature. The law of nature is inherently random. Random. And I know this from my allotment. When I'm on my allotment, I throw a load of seeds down. Some will grow. I'm like, look at that, magnificent, look at that, wonderful. Some will, I'll get a little sapling, die off, or bugs will eat it, or, you know, the fox, we've got a resident fox, bugger. He comes, and he does a little scratch, and he goes, take that, runs off, leaves me a little present. It's inherently random. Energy intensity comes from within. Energy and intensity, when you're in harmony with where you want to go, what works for you, what's right for you, flows and flows and flows and flows. I don't worry about energy and intensity. I am energy and intensity. I am it. I am here in human form representing that. The reason I get there is because of my understanding of how we work as human beings. It's universal to all of us. So the energy intensity I have now, you all have it. And you've all experienced it. At some point in time, you've had that. That you can't explain where it's come from. It's just there. It's come when we sink into who we actually are, and then that takes care of the rest. It all comes down to this. I sound like such a hippie these days. Like I've gone super hippified, but it's just the truth that I see. When I say the word love, I don't mean the romanticized version of love, like you know, love songs and I love you. Like, I don't mean that. I mean it with Anne-Marie. Like we'll keep that off the stage. You know what I mean? I mean it there. But I stand here now with absolutely no reservation to say I love everybody in this room. But the reason I can say that is because what love means to me is this. I know who you are, and I see you for who you are. And when we go into that separate notion of self and we're lost there, I still see who you are through that. And I will hold that space until you're there with me. Unconditional. I've had people on calls say all kinds to me. All kinds. My job is to keep that there, no matter what. Because I know that they're enough no matter what they say, no matter what they think is holding them back, no matter what they think they are deficient in. I know the truth, and I hold that truth for them until they can grab hold of that truth themselves and then go live their lives. When people work with me, they're shocked because I say, I'm not that fussed about outcomes. And they're like, what? Why would we be fussed about outcomes when, if I can get in touch with who you are, that's what everybody's chasing in outcomes. We're chasing that feeling of, I am okay. So when someone turns around and says, actually, you are okay no matter what, and we understand that, the need for outcomes dissolves. And then we're in a space of just pure creation. What do I actually just want to do, purely because I want to? I'm here because I want to be here. Simple as that. I'm here because I love what I'm doing. Simple as that. But to get to this point, to be able to say that and be able to live that out, I had to get my foundation of understanding in myself secure first, so that I could then embody that and be that and share that with everybody else. So when I say I love you, trust me when I say that, I mean that. And every person who I meet who I've never met before, it's in my heart. So when they speak with me, they feel that. They can't catch on to it in words. But I'm just in a conversation with them as they are. They don't need to be any particular way. They don't need to say any particular thing. They don't even need to like me. And that happens sometimes. It doesn't matter. I understand that we are one collective. Derek got what you saw in that video is Derek being in that space. Pure love. Pure understanding of how important we all are. And when you get to that place, you just know for a fact that we are all enough 100% of the time, no matter what. Thank you so much.